Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain.
My old name is Woodrow Halbert. That says so right there. I didn't have the A, but they put an H on this thing. I had an A on there. And I departed out of here on the 14th of September, 42, and I went up to Jefferson Barracks and was inducted there. About the 2 days up there, and then they sent me back home till September the 28th when I went into active duty. That's the date I went in at Jefferson Barracks. I departed Jefferson Barracks and I went to El Paso, Texas, down there to Logan Heights, field artillery outfit. And we trained down there to be glider-borne, anti-aircraft guys. Played dangerously. Didn't even have a glider down there. We played in mock-ups. And then in December, I don't remember the exact date, when we left there, that's Fort Dix, New Jersey, where I left. And anyway, we headed out going west, like they was going to ship us out west on the train. And somewhere out there in one of them western countries, we cut back going east to Fort Dix, New Jersey. And we loaded on board ship somewhere in New York. I don't know, I don't remember the place. No, it wasn't up there. It wasn't that damn lucky. Some little old burg place where the Navy had a port. And we got on board of a ship, and we headed for North Africa. And we landed, got in there. Oh, that's the first time I was ever seasick. I was first day on there, and I was seasick. The first and only time I was ever being seasick. And I thought I was going to fall over with the fishies. So there wasn't enough. As a matter of fact, there wasn't enough space on the rail for everybody that had to feed the fish. But after I got over that one, I was all right. And then we went on into North Africa. We landed in the town of Oran. Wet, cold, in the old tents, and out in the big old muddy field. We stayed there a few days, and just getting equipment and stuff. And then we went on up to Algiers, still in the country of Algiers. And finished out our stuff, and then they shipped us out into Constantine in Tunisia. And we went on over to almost Tripoli. And then they brought us back to Algiers, and we re-equipped. Got our stuff all together again, and then they went around the Horn and landed in Sicily. A place we called Jala Beach. And I don't know what our purpose was there. We didn't have no action. Rommel had done cleared that island. That was our job, was to follow him. And we followed him out of there, but he was gone out of Sicily. There's nobody there, so we motored around up to Palermo. And there was no action there either. We stayed in there for a few days, and they loaded us on ships again. And we went up, and I think we went across, the straits are called Messina. And we landed on the Boot, right down on the toe of Italy. And then we trucked up to Naples, going up the coast. It's a beautiful country, there's nothing in there. And then we got up to Naples, and they put us out in some field on the edge of the city, in the mud pit. And we went up to some river just north of Naples, and they pulled us back. This is all in 43 now. They brought us back to Naples, and I think it was about sometime, I think it was in December of 43. and they took us to Anzio. I think let's look at the map there. Somewhere it was Arno, Rome Arno, in some of these papers I got, I guess. And we were pinned down in that little old space there, that beachhead, until May of '44. And then they broke out from both ways. They sent in more troops into Anzio with us, and then they made a push from the south and got those Germans out of the mountains around, I can't think of the name of the monastery. There was a big monastery on top of a hill.
Abbey?
No, I don't know.
Oh, it's Mount Casino is the name of it.
Yeah, this is a monastery, a great big monastery. It's a big chapel of a thing, you know, and it's usually got a fort around it. It's right on top of the hill, and the Germans was in there, and they bombed it out. And they usually didn't bomb them kind of places.
Did you see that happen?
Well, I heard it. I didn't see it because it was just to the, I guess it'd be the south of us. It's kind of south. Well, let's see. The sun comes up over there differently than what it does here. It'd be kind of southeast. And then we left there in May and went on up through Rome and up, I forget what the name of the town was, north of Rome. And then they shipped us all the way back to Naples, and they re-outfitted us. Brought up ammunition, re-clothed us and all, and put us on some LTVs. They put us on the trucks, you know. We had our own trucks, and they put us on them things with their own vehicles and our gear all loaded on them vehicles. And then we went around and landed in Nice, in France. And we was going to glider in there. That's right after that thing is where where they broke up the airborne outfit I was with. And we were going to go in there on gliders. No way. Because all around there, them Germans, they'd heard that we had those things and about them was probably use them, you know, for the invasion. And they put stabs up all over them, those fields, you know. There's no way you could land in there without getting some wood in your belly. So, but anyway, we went in from the sea, and then we marched up to Grenoble. That's about mid-France, and the big ski area in the what is that? Yeah, in the Alps, the French Alps. And we stayed there for a while, and then they re-equipped us. I mean, they re-equipped us with big stuff. Then they give us 8-inch guns, and we trailed around all the way across. Now, so here's where I'm running into some of these hard names to remember. Little old towns. Up from there, going up to the Rhine. We went into Alsace-Lorraine, and went into a little old town. I can't even think. I think the name of the town was Alsace, and that's the only time we'd ever set in up real close to a town. And they dug these big old spade pits. Oh, I don't know, they're about as wide, or maybe a little wider than that there China claws in it, and about half as deep. And you put these spades in there and back up against them, back up against it, and then they fire what they call a seeding round. And that sets those guns, stabilizes them into the pit, and sets them up into firing position. Then you can fire them. But when they fired that seeding round, all these slate covers or tile come off the houses. You could just hear the whole town clinging. They had 3 of those guns, and set up various parts, you know, on the edge of town. And that was kind of a bad deal. We got on kind of a bad side there with the population, you know, but decapitating their houses. And then we fired on, oh heck, we fired on Strasbourg. That was about 25 miles on the other side of where we was at. That's just almost the maximum range of the guns. And we fired in there. And then after that we went up the Rhine to, I can't think of the name of the bridge. It went across there just before Mannheim. Do you know the name of that one?
No, the bridge I went across was largest put together.
Yeah.
Is this still kind of in Italy?
No, this was it was getting into Germany. Left out of Alsace, out of France. That's what it was actually. Alsace-Lorraine is part of France. Then we went into Germany and went across the river just before Mannheim. Mannheim, I think, was right. The river, the best I can remember, kind of splits the two countries. Now we're getting down to where I'm digging.
This is about what time?
This was in the later, I guess, early 45.
So it had to be in 44.
Must have been the
Summer of 44.
So the bulges had already been over?
No.
on the bulge.
Bulges like December of 44.
Oh, well, I landed in. I didn't leave Italy until about 44, Sicily or something like that. Around after the middle, cause. Well, no, we was tied down middle of 44. May of 44 was when we broke out of Anzio.
But see, we'd already crossed the Rhine way before that.
Yeah, well,
We were coming up a different direction.
yeah, we was coming up kind of.
Come out of the north and you cut in here from the south.
Yeah. I come in.
Pound, forget it.
The Normandy landing was June 3rd,
6.
44.
Yeah.
Well, see, I didn't get into France until after that. I was still chasing around down there to see if I could catch the fox.
Who's Obama?
Yeah,
Were you with Patton?
yeah. Until Patton went. Then Patton finally went to England, and he took a troop into. See, I went through Africa with Patton. Patton took us through Africa. Then after we got into Sicily and moved into Italy, just before the invasion, well, they moved us around, moved him back up to England somewhere. And he gave him what was the army they give him?
He come 3rd Army in France.
Yeah.
See, I was with 1st Army, then I'd be with the 3rd, 1st and 3rd, all the way.
Well, maybe he did take us all the way into southern France too. I know we went in after that. After it already landed in France, southern France. But that's whenever when they had Rommel heading for the homeland. As a matter of fact, he'd already got him to the homeland whenever we moved in there. We were just a bunch of tag-alongs, because he moved him fast. When we went up through Italy, well, what was that there? Rossellini? That Mussolini, yeah. See, he was a buddy of, had his troops, also with Rommel, down in Africa, and then coming back. And when Rommel left Italy, and then turned it over to Mussolini, that's where we cleaned him up. Shut down his shop. Then we moved on. We was more or less clean up. Of course, they had a lot of hard fighting in there in that winter of 43 and early 44. So they got up there in them mountains and didn't want to give them up. That's when they had us pinned down in Casino. In Anzio. That's where they put us to do a backdoor job on him, and we didn't. He was prepared. Because he had a bunch of heavy artillery sitting up there in the mountains, and all he had to do was just shoot downhill on us. And we couldn't go nowhere in that mud. So then we got up there, and like I said, and then I got up there into after we left Grenoble, I don't remember hardly any of them little old cities. Seemed like we went over to Vichy and up then into Alsace. I know Alsace is the last place I can remember. It sits right on the Rhine, right on the bank of the Rhine, on the south bank. And then we'd fire over into Strasbourg. Because our spotters would go over there, you know, had those P-51 up there being our spotter. And he'd call for the fire and give the artillery the azimuth and the zero in part of it.
And they could hit the target pretty good with that?
Oh yeah, they'd fire seeding round, zero rounds. He'd call for the round, you know, and they'd tell him if it's over. And he'd call another one that's shorter than if it's under. Then usually the third round would come in there, right, split the middle. And we didn't never see the effect of until way after what we'd done.
I guess those shells, even when you get
It
targeted in, they probably have a... one
yeah,
of them.
well, yeah, they had just certain azimuth there, you know. The old boy from upstairs give it to them. And they usually fired pretty much on about the same target, you know, coming in from about three sides. Now those shells were 240 pounds, 8-inch, great big suckers out yonder. Now from there, we went to Mannheim, but I don't remember them little towns or where we crossed. Well, there's a Remagen Bridge, wasn't there? Seemed like that's the name that rings the bell, Remagen. It had been shot up, but it had been rejoined, you know. We went across there and we went into Mannheim and moved into an old German army barracks. Was you ever in Mannheim?
I don't remember.
It was a big military base, barracks, you know. Mannheim was a good sized town, but where they put us was in the army barracks. And we stayed there for a while. Then they moved us up to Ulm. Ulm was on the real Danube, wasn't it? That wasn't the Danube River that run there by Mannheim. I don't even know what that river was. Huh. And that big old book you were just looking at, that's why I had it out. I thought I had some bigger maps back there of the country, but I don't. Huh. Because I know that Ulm sits right on the Danube. And that was the farthest I went into Germany. And then there, after we got to where we didn't have nothing else to run, well, they broke us up and started getting us. Now this was in, I guess about July of '45, and it took us that time of men running from little old town to town, getting together, you know. And then we got over to, went down and got into, I forget the name of the little old town, and then they moved us back to Southampton in England. And then loaded us on the Queen Mary. And we headed for home. And I got into port on the 4th, no, I left over on the 4th of October, and I got to port in at Dix, back at Fort Dix again on the 9th of October. And then they put us on, booked us up there and put us on trains to go into different get-out places. And I got on a train coming back to Jeff Barracks, where they let me out. And that's the extent of my World War II. Now, I don't, that ain't very much, is it, that I can remember?
Printed it.
Wasn't you in the medics?
Yeah.
I thought. Could you tell me something about some of the wounded?
Well, there wasn't too many of ours got too darn wounded. And I don't think that gory stuff would be pretty good on a tape. I don't think brains go good on tape, do you? Huh? Guts hanging out of the bellies, that don't go good on tapes. Stay away from that. No, that I don't think that's too good. That's what else can I think of?
Did you ever land it? Did you ever do a glider thing?
No, we never did. We trained for it, and see, with this artillery anti-aircraft outfit was 50 caliber stuff. The purpose of it was to set up around depots. Oh, well, here's one. When we got into Tunisia, we went into a little old town in Tabessa, and we set up around a great big ammo dump. And one day we was getting strafed by the Focke-Wulfs, and the company commander was nowhere close to a foxhole, and so he jumped into the shit pit, the slit trench. He come out. He came out of there slapping manure, and they come back to do the second run. He went back into the pit. But when he come out the first time, come on back here, my boys will get you. His boys didn't get him, but he got the second dose of the pit. Yeah, that was one of them. They put him in there and made a mess out of him. That was quite the stickering part of the company. Let's see if there's any more little odds and ends. No, if you wanted the real gory stuff, you had to get into the end of the infantry outfits.
He's got something in him.
Huh?
This guy that he just talked to was an infantry.
Yeah, well, they had the gory stuff. My part of ours was mostly, if he got hit by anything, it was usually by artillery or by aircraft. But after they broke us up and put us some big guns, they know even the aircraft didn't mess with us. I don't remember ever being strafed by an airplane. Of course, now by the time we got to Chernobyl and got the guns, and then the boys got a little training on them, why his Air Force was just almost nihiled, you know, huh? He was strictly in the last rows of summer.
Did you see the town of Casino?
Huh?
Did you see the town of Casino?
Oh, that's the one in the mountain. Yeah, but I didn't know. I was just north. Anzio was just north of it. That's where they was pinned down all winter. The southern bunch trying to get up to us. And this here piece of paper addendum to the discharge paper don't tell me much either.
So you must have liked the Army. You went back in it.
Well, yeah, it's been good to me. Yeah, until just here recently, it ain't been so good. And this other 23 years, I don't guess you didn't need any of it, do you? That just don't have nothing to do with World War II. Because MacArthur had Japan taken care of by the time I got there. Come on.
He'd taken care of Japan about the same time you got out, right? getting it all in?
No, see, it was over, wasn't too long. There's some of the guys went from Europe to the Pacific.
They sent several out of our outfit.
Most of them was infantry.
I was up pretty close. They taken them alphabetically.
Hmm.
I was 8. I was getting close.
No, I wasn't even mentioned nowheres about getting to that. Well.
You ever see Patton? Did you ever see Patton?
Oh yes. He was when we was getting ready to go to Sicily. They had moved us out of Tebessa back to Algiers to refit, and they put us way out there in the field. You know, we wasn't forward enough to be infantry, but we was just far enough forward, you know, to draw some of the finally hard duties. But we was back in the bivouac area, and it was outside of Algiers. So we used to sneak off at night and we'd go downtown. Well, GHQ down there didn't want the grunts downtown. So we go down there and get up in that Horror district up there in the Arab district on the hill. And the MPs would pick us up and then they'd take us back out there and dump us off at the division. And then as soon as the boys back there got us, they'd turn us loose, you know, to go to the tent, and then we'd be back downtown. We might get picked up 2 or 3 times a night. But old Patton, he was, well, this is on camera, I ain't gonna say this, some wrong people might see it and hear it, but he took care of the troops, but he expects you to work too. Yeah. Because whenever we got back in areas, he set up areas of recreation for the guys. He believed in from partying hard. And
I thought Clark was the general in Italy. I guess Patton was there too. Well, Patton came from North Africa, I guess.
yeah, But it seemed to me like he went. They took him out away from us, and they took him and we gave him the 7th Army and the 3rd Army.
3rd.
He had to create a diversion, I think, from D-Day, for one thing. When D-Day was coming on, he was like making a pretend army, like so they'd think that he was invading from wherever he was at, in Greece or...
Well, he would have been in Italy. Oh, he might have been. He may have been making a diversion that they're going to land in southern France. I don't know. That's where we eventually did.
Well, I know for D-Day, they had Patton somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've seen the film or tapes or pictures on this where they had blown up tanks. I mean, not blown up.
Yeah.
Rubber tanks.
Yeah.
A make-believe army there.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Patton liked that too much. He wanted to be in the real thing. Of course,
Well, no, he.
as soon as that was over, of course, he was in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Patton was in France way before they invaded southern France.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think.
I know we put ammunition to him, and 3rd Army you could keep up with them, but Patton, there was no way you could keep coming up with fire.
No, well, he was a tank man.
I know, but any time you seen his tank, he had his head sticking out of the person. And that's the way it was in France.
Well, he was tank. Well, he grew. He studied his training in the army in tanks. The story was when he was at Fort Benning, Georgia, he took that over to. What the heck's the name of the little old town in Alabama, right across from Columbus. Oh heck! But he took it over there, and was going to clean that town out with his boys. The town was picking on his troops, you know. He went over there, took his boys over there. Now, that was a tale they told on him. Well, he had his own club down there too, you know. It had a big fire. That was also in some film I seen, documentary. I wasn't there, but I heard when that thing burned up. But, of course, he'd been dead for a long time. He got killed in that Jeep accident in Europe. I think that's the way he got killed, wasn't it? A Jeep accident over there? Yeah. Anyway, after the war, that thing caught fire and burned up. And they said all you could hear, it said it sounded like Patton's artillery going off. All them whiskey bottles are busting. It was a nice club out there in the woods, I know. Huh. Mike, I was tell you, I wish there's more I could put on you, but I ain't.
No pressure here.
I just can't think of anything that's worthy. I can, it's on me, and that ain't worthy.
Were you, I guess, were you sleeping outside too?
Yeah. No, I don't ever remember being in a building. Always had them big old tents in my.
Oh, so you did have a tent, though?
Well, yeah, we had tents. We had pup tents. Most of it was pup tents, but.
Stay dry?
No. If you're lucky enough to get a cot and get into one of them big tents, you can stay kind of dry because you can carry in enough leaves and sticks and rubbish to put around your cot, you know, to kind of keep it off of the wet ground. Yeah, that was Katie barred the door. Lord, let me go digging into this stuff again. Well, maybe it's on here. Let me see about where where I left from and went to. Yep. But anyway, okay, we'll start. I enlisted in, when was it, 1946. I'll go get the main papers, I guess.
You don't have to have exact dates. Ballpark.
Well, I went, 8th of August of 46, I re-enlisted. And I went from St. Louis to Fort Sheridan, Illinois. And I sworn in and got all my clothes and everything up there. And then I went from Fort Sheridan, Illinois to Boca Raton, Florida. They had an air base down there, right outside of Boca Raton. We stayed there until 47, and we had it seemed like from September 47, I believe it was, when we left there. Took a hurricane come in there, and it took those old World War II buildings and just opened them up like a book and just laid them out open like that. Then we went from there, I went to Keesler Field, and I worked in the flight surgeon's office there until some period in 48. And then they needed me up in Great Falls, Montana. And I got up there in that cold country. And I worked in the flight surgeon's office up there. And I re-enlisted up there in 48, and I re-enlisted to go overseas. But I wasn't going to spend more of them 40 and 50 degree below zero weathers up there in the winter. And I think I was it was in August, 8th of August again. And I re-enlisted. Then they sent me to Keesler Field in Hawaii. I mean, the Hickam Field in Hawaii. I went out of Great Falls to what is that field in California outside of to an airfield there, but I was just passed through there. I was in transit. And then they assigned me to the flight surgeon's office in Hickam, and I was there a very short time. I didn't like that town of Florida. Anytime you're in a place when you take your shoes off and set them under your bed at night and you go to put them on in the morning, your shoe soles are darn turn green. Well, there ain't no place for anybody, a human being, to be.
Why they turn green?
But mildew. It's mold overnight. So we got out of there. I got out of there, volunteered to get out of there, and they sent me to Japan. Sent me to Tokyo. And then I worked out of the flight surgeon's office in Haneda. And I was what they call Skarwoff. It was an army detachment, working with the Air Force because they didn't have their own medics yet. Well, there's a lot of stuff that they didn't have. They didn't have their own quartermaster and all that stuff. As soon as I got that, then I went on back in the Army. Because you wasn't doing nothing but just putting in time with them. No promotions for you or anything. And I put in went over to Yokohama. Went out to a place called Hiyoshi, and was put with the 40th Anti-Aircraft Artillery. There, I stayed with that until 1952, and they rotated me back here to the States, and they've come into Camp Crowder down here in Missouri. The god awfulest post I was ever on, and all the military bases I was ever on, and that was it. I stayed there 3 months, and I volunteered to go back overseas again. I went back to Japan.
What was so bad about it?
Huh?
What was so bad about it?
Well, it's god awful.
Why was it god awful?
Living conditions is bad. There's them old CC buildings is what it was. Heck, I was down there in the CCs. That was a long time before World War II. What, 41? I don't even remember when I went to the seas first time. But anyway, this same old Camp Crowder, it didn't change. It was no good in the CCs, and it was no good in the Army either. Now I think they got a college down there in them old buildings. And of course, they probably shaped them up now for the younger generation. They couldn't put up with them old buildings the way they were. And I went back to Europe, and I got to Camp Drake, and then they signed me to Osaka, to a hospital down there, and I stayed in that hospital down there until 56, for January of 56. It was me and I was at Reno, I don't know what year. Anyway, was married in September of 54. Okanaoka Barracks, that's where I went in Osaka. I had a hospital out there. I was taking care of casualties coming out of Korea. And then we came back to the States and we signed to Fort Lewis, Washington. I don't know, me and Reno got married in September, on the 4th of September, I believe it was, in September of 54. And I came back in January of 56. And I think it was the 19th of January we got to Fort Lewis, and then we went on vacation for a month, 30-day vacation, and we came back here then. I guess that's the first time I met you, whenever we came back. And then went back to Fort Lewis, and I was stationed there till 57. And I put in for an advanced 91C course, medical course at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver. I put a year in there of training. And after I finished my training, they assigned me to the 2nd Infantry at Fort Benning, Georgia. And I got out there, and there was no chance of getting a promotion, so I said, I can't stay here. So I wiggled the transfer to get over to Martin Army Hospital. You had to get into these bigger hospitals for a chance for promotion, you know. And the training I went through was for a hospital type, you know, or hospitals out in the bigger field hospitals. And I got over to Martin Army Hospital, and it took me almost 4 years to make a grade. I made a grade there, and as soon as I made that grade down, they didn't ship me to Vietnam. My first trip to Vietnam. Of course, that was in '63. Spring of '63. I don't remember exact dates when March, I believe it was, in '63, and then I brought Reno to Denver and set her up, and then I had to go back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's for that survival training. And I trained into that down there for 6 weeks of jungle training or survival training, you know. Teaching us how to fry a raw chicken over a bed of hot leaves or something. It was something awful, that was too. And then I went back to home there for a few days, and then I got on board of a Pan Am at Travis. That's the Air Force Base in California. I couldn't think of a while ago. Travis Air Force Base. They put us on Pan Am, one of the Super Connies. That was a 4-engine twin tail thing, and it broke down before it ever stopped. We're going all the way to Vietnam. It broke down in Honolulu. It broke down in Manila. I think we got in off of Kwajalein Island okay. And then went on in Manila and broke down there. And the time I got to Tan Son Nhut Air Base in Saigon, my feet were swollen up so bad, worse than they are now. And I had my shoes kicked off, and I had to walk off my stockings. My feet had swelled up on that plane. Of course, we was in the air for so much, you know, so long. That was my first year there. I was military advisory duty the first year. And then I come back in '64 and put in a couple of years in Fort Lewis, Washington, in the 4th Infantry Division, and they trained for Vietnam again. I went back in September '66, and then I put a year in down there, and I volunteered for inter-service. They assigned me to Johnson Air Force Base in Japan. But I wanted to get Reno back to Japan before I got out of the service, because I wasn't planning on being around too much longer after that. And I got over there at Johnson, and then I stayed in Johnson for a while. And then, you remember them Washu boys and the demonstrations they had there in Tokyo? At one hospital, it was the OG hospital, what it was, where I went to. Well, that was me. They was out there hollering. We set up a hospital there to take in casualties out of Vietnam, and I put in time there, and then that's when I got ticked off and put in for retirement in '69. And the first day of August of '69, I retired, took my necktie off, went home, stripped off the green uniform, and I haven't had it on since, and I ain't planning on putting it back on.
So you worked in the hospital most of the time in Vietnam?
No, I was in and out of the hospitals various times, you know. No, and when I was over military advisor, that year I was out there trying to teach them dummies how to take care of themselves, and they wasn't doing too good at that. Only thing we get a shot at now and then by the Viet Cong. I almost got in trouble there. They sent me out in one place there, and I told the old man, he up there, and I bad mouthing it. bad mouthing the Arvin. That's what they was. The other damn people wouldn't fight for themselves. And I just got tired of it and told him. He said, well, I think I'll just send you on back to Benoit. I can't do nothing for you or with you. He sent me back. I said, okay, be my toy. I got back there and they almost busted me. They were going to do me the court martial, and I said, well, I'm going to dig up a whole bunch of shit about these organizations. And I said, we're just over here wasting our time in this damn place. I was mad. But I didn't mind being over there. I just didn't mind. I didn't want to be shot at out there at night, you know, and what have you, and not being unprotected with them our Arvin troops. So I badmouthed that part of it. And then they got me out there 2 months early. Got me out of Vietnam 2 months early. Then.
What do you think the big difference between Vietnam and World War II was?
Well, hell, you had something to shoot at in World War II. You knew where the enemy was, and you knew who the enemy was. Over there, you knew who the enemy was, but you didn't know where he was, or what bush he was hiding behind, or what hole he was going to pop up out of the ground on. Yeah, that's altogether a different war over there.
And you don't think they could have won it?
Huh?
You don't think they could have won that Vietnam War?
Well, they probably could have had to put different people in there. When the first went in, they went in there for the holding action at the Whole River. See, the Whole River, I think it's the name of the whole, the river was Whole. It just split the country in half. Just like Korea, after MacArthur got himself in trouble with Truman over that deal, you know. Well, they cut it in half. It's what, the 38th parallel? 38th to 39th parallel there. Well, you don't hold nobody. If you're going to fight, you got to throw everything at them. That was MacArthur's idea, you know. You politicians, you don't fight a military war, you fight a politician war, political war.
There wasn't too much they could do. They had the Cold War going. I guess they were afraid that if they let everything go, then the Russians would get into it and it would be in a big mess.
Oh, well, they probably, I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't war, that was military police.
It was military harassment, what it was.
They wasn't allowed to shoot unless they were shot at.
Yeah.
Defend yourself.
Of course, now when they went back down there, when I went back down there with the 4th Infantry Division, and then I was eventually assigned to the 25th Infantry, we were down there meaning business, but what the heck? You went out there and you set up camps and tried to defend the camp. There's nowhere for you to go because you didn't know which direction to go or what to do out in them jungles, you know. Because, well, you wasn't getting no direction, no sense of direction from higher headquarters, is what I'll have to say about it. And I imagine if you'd ask some of them boys if they wasn't so politically inclined, they'd tell you the same thing. They was getting no sense of direction. Because you just do not fight a war when you're in camp. I was glad to get out of there, and when I did in '67. And I got my 2 years in Japan, probably up to 26 years, and I had 26 years and 26 days. No, wrong. I had 12 days of reserve time. I was in the reserve one time. At 12 days, I was home on vacation from Jefferson Barracks. That was reserve time. Yeah. Active duty, 26 years and 12 days. Total active duty was 26 years and 26 days. And I was in Japan 1 year and 9 months and 25 days after I left Vietnam. Youth or pack. That's where I wound up at. That Group A. Date of appointment. 17th of December, 67.
So how much medical training did you get?
Oh, I had medical training at, that's where I was at Fitzsimmons. I was doing a 91C, that's equal to an LPN course there. But I had combat medicine before that, first aid. I had a lot of medical training.
Could you remove my liver if you had to?
I guess I could, but I don't know what I'd put. I don't know what I'd put back in there. Now I went through all these orders last night. I thought maybe I'd do something as them. That piece of paper will be in here if you ever need it. If I ever depart this place.
Orders for, oh, the orders were ones that told you where you're going, right?
Orders to straighten out my life after I can't straighten it out no more. And all this piece will be over there, and all this history will be over there in the lockup
Or
at the bank in the safety deposit box.
deal is
Yeah.
gonna be mercantile.
No, it's going to be what the heck is that? Stay far.
Good start.
Spacious skies for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Please sing it with us. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps through the sparkling sands of your diamond deserts, while all around me a voice came sounding, saying this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. The sun was shining as I was strolling through the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling. A voice came sounding as the fog was lifting, saying, this land belongs to you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California This land was made